Shabbat Shalom. In this week's Parsha, Moshe comes to warn Pharoah about the next plague. Pharoah begins to bend. Instead of simply throwing Moshe out the door, he begins to negotiate. He asks him, you say you want to go off and have a little festival for a few days. Who's going? What are the details of this plan? And Moshe tells him, we're all going. Not just the adults, but children, the old people, even our cattle. And this is where Pharoah reacts and gets angry and eventually throws Moshe out. But before he does that, he issues a very unusual warning. Re'u ki ra'at neged penechem. Evil is looking you in the face. You are coming face to face with evil. And this unusual statement has stimulated commentaries for generations. I would like to briefly look at the Ramban, who rolls together Onkelos and Rashi, and then share with you something from Rav Soloveitchik, again with some of my own insights and commentary on contemporary events. So the Ramban begins, as he often does, by citing Rashi, and Rashi begins, as he often does, by citing the Targum. So the Ramban begins by saying, Ketargumo Zelashon Rashi. But here's where it gets interesting, because as you can see on the screen, the Ramban immediately says, well, too bad Rashi didn't tell us which Targum he's talking about, because I know of several versions. Umatov vayash yefrasheo elenu, v'nuschot min haTargum mitchalfot bo. And then he cites two versions of the Targum. One of them is really just the sort of stern warning that I know that you're talking about having a little festival, a little religious gathering, but what you really want to do is escape. That's the evil. To try and escape being my slaves is evil, and that's the evil that you're thinking about, and it's not going to work. And here it is on the screen. I'll just read it and move on. Yesh shekatuv bahen arei vishad atun sevirin lemebad lekabel apechon istacharet. Will turn around and hit you in the face. V'nero lazot hanuscha sheratza Onkelos fareish hara shetem choshim la'asot tashuv neged penechem la'id bechem shetem rotzim levroach. Ra'u ki ota shetem mevakshim la'asot sheyesh v'datchem levroach hi tashuv neged penechem shelo tetzu mikan. You're thinking of escaping. I can tell that's your evil intent. You're never going to get out of here. Forget it. The other interpretation I think is very interesting, and I'm not sure that I understand it, but I think I do. And that's the interpretation that Pharoah says, you're sitting here, you're standing here and telling me that you just want to go off for a few days and have a little gathering. But I can tell from your facial expression that that's not what you want. Your facial expression gives away the fact that you're lying, that you really want to escape. Here again, it's on your screen, and I'll read it. ועוד מצאתי בו נוסחה אחרת, לית קבל הפכון אסתחרה. יאמר, אין בהכרת פניכם לסייב רעה שב לבבכם. כי הכרת פניכם ענתה בכם. הכרת פניכם ענתה בכם. Your facial expression gives you away. You aren't thinking of just having a little, Fabrengen, a little gathering, a little prayer meeting, and then going back. No, you want to escape. Well, the Rav sees this in a very different light. Not as a hostile warning, you're not going to get away with it. I know what your plans are, and, forget about it. You're not going to get away with it. But almost as a friendly warning, a warning coming from Pharoah, speaking as a statesman who has a lot of experience in worldly affairs, and is beginning to understand that what Moshe is talking about is not simple, political freedom, and not simply, ending the status of the Jews as slaves, but spiritual freedom, and not simply spiritual freedom, the right to have our own houses of worship and our own prayers, but the demand, the vision that the Jews will be a separate people. Am levadad yishkon. We will not be like the other nations. We're going to create a community which is deliberately and consciously separate from the other nations. And this is, and Pharoah, when he gets hold of this, says, Ru'u kira keneged penechem, you're going to create, you're going to invite hatred. You're going to create a community of martyrdom. People are going to hate you for that. And this is really a warning. And he was right, of course. But this is what the Jewish destiny and the Jewish vision are. We are deliberately separate. As the Rebbe said many times, we participate with all other members of the human race in science, technology, all that's concerned with improving the human condition, the human physical condition. But with our terms of our own spiritual quest and our own spiritual path, we are consciously, willfully different. And that's how we want to be, and that's how we will stay. And this demands of us also to live according to our Jewish ethic and our Jewish way of life, and not assimilate to a different form of a way of life, and not have a different way of life imposed upon us. In the course of our history, we've had many different nations try to impose their way of life upon us, to try and divest the Jews of their own way of life, their own traditions, their customs, their ethics. And now we have no less of a struggle against people from supposedly within our own midst, people who are of Jewish origin, who I'm not sure of what kind of Jewish identity they have, here in Israel, where 70 years after some sort of quasi-independence and a state which claims to be a Jewish state, we have a very difficult, hard fight against elements, particularly those who control the brutal and undemocratic Supreme Court, who are trying to impose upon us values and ways of life that are alien and unacceptable. So Pharoah understood. Pharoah gave us a warning. He was correct. It was what we wanted. It was what we were about, and his prophecy that, or his warning that we're looking for trouble. We're asking, we're inviting hatred. Unfortunately, was not inaccurate. But we don't want to be hated. We just want to be accepted in our separate existence, in our own independent path for a spiritual perfection and coming as close to Ribono Shel Olam as is humanly possible. So I'd like to leave you with that thought, and Shabbat Shalom.